10 ways to be funny. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. Don't know why I suddenly have an accent, but we'll talk about that later. Now on to our topic. 10 ways to become funnier. Brooke and I have taped a lot of actors, thousands of actors over the last years. And we've also taught a lot of actors in different classroom settings. And across all those experiences, when it comes to comedy, there's a common complaint. I'm just not funny. So there's this pervasive myth that comedy is nature and not nurture. Now, I do believe firmly that some people are just born with an instinct for comedy, but that doesn't mean it can't be taught. You don't have to be Eddie Murphy, Carol Burnett, or Steve Martin to learn comedy and understand what is funny and why it's funny. In this video, I want to show you 10 ways of thinking differently about your character that can lead to, at the very least, some quirky behavior, and at most, can give you a really funny and fun performance. And this is important, without changing the script. Some actors rely solely on ad-libbing or improv to bring the funny, but if you're not careful, that could backfire on you. A lot of writers, a lot of showrunners, a lot of producers are very protective about their words. So at the audition phase, you shouldn't be in the habit of changing those words. So in all these examples, understand that I am not suggesting that you change the script at all. All right, let's jump in. We're going to break these into two categories, physical and verbal. Let's start with the physical.
Maybe pretend like you have a neck brace on and your shoulders are slightly hunched. What does that start to do to your character as you navigate this scene? I'm starting to feel a little bit more timid or fearful of what's coming around the corner. Or perhaps I give myself the restriction that my character has wet armpits and never lets his arms touch his sides because that's just uncomfortable. That creates an interesting nuance to this guy. Maybe your character always assumes the other character is going to speak next. No, guess not. Or perhaps I only speak with my eyes closed, and when I'm listening, I make uninterrupted eye contact without blinking. Maybe your character silently mouths the words they just spoke, or mouth the words of what they think the other character is going to say. I've actually known actors who have memorized both sides of the scene and mouth the other character's words. And while that is accidental, if you make it an intentional character choice, well, that's interesting and potentially funny.
Okay, those first 5 quirky behaviors are ripped straight from improv class. I've taught improv for well over a decade, and these are the types of endowments that you might place on an actor in the middle of a scene or at the beginning of a scene so that they can A, be challenged, and B, discover some interesting new behavior that could turn this normal everyday scene into something so much more interesting and three-dimensional. So you can come up with endless possibilities for these types of behaviors and quirks. And sometimes they're just that, quirks. And sometimes they can lead to these hilarious characters if you allow yourself that exploration. These quirks are just starting points. See where they take you. Keep exploring to see how your character develops when you start from one of these quirks.
Now in the second part, I want to talk about some verbal changes to your character that can add some fun quirks. Every dialect, every region of every country has telltale rhythm, tone, stress, intonation as part of that dialect. So make up your own. The character Moira from Schitt's Creek, Christopher Walken and everything he does, that guy from Galaxy Quest, they all found unique ways of speaking. And you can do the same. Maybe you choose random words in each sentence to emphasize. That's sort of a Christopher Walken tick. Or you intentionally mispronounce words. Or maybe you sing a few words of your dialogue. Maybe your character mutters or holds out the starting part of a word because they're buying time, or confused, or just don't know what to say next. Use that sparingly because that could take a 1-minute scene and turn it into a 3-minute scene which very rarely will work in your favor. Or perhaps you adjust the volume of your character inappropriately, at least for the scene context. For instance, let's say the other character is whispering, "I love you," in a very intimate scene. Well, it'd be very interesting and inappropriate to respond at the wrong volume. That's nice!
Thanks for those demos, Matt. Now, with all of these ideas comes a pretty big warning, which is to not go too far. Otherwise, you might be in direct opposition to what the intended tone or pacing or rhythm or style of the show is supposed to be. So proceed with caution. My advice is to start by rehearsing the extreme version of one of these character choices. Maybe even record that as your first take. And then back it off a little bit, record it again, and then back it off some more, record it again. And see on playback or just instinctually what feels right, what feels most authentic to the character, including that research you've done about the tone of the show or of the network or the style of that writer, showrunner, producer, director, etc. I guarantee it'll be a fun journey, even if you end up abandoning that choice and just doing a safe read. In the end, though, you do you. If you feel strongly about a choice you've made and you've done the research on the project to know that your choice fits in that world, then do it. Take ownership of your audition. Take ownership of your career. You have my full support. And if you have any questions or comments, of course, drop them below. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.